Hey everybody, quick disclaimer. The views and opinions you're about to hear are those of the hosts and guests alone. They don't represent any police department, agency, sponsor, or employer. Two Cops, One Donut isn't responsible for anything said by guests or for any videos, clips, or content shown during the live stream. This show is intended for adult audiences only. We cover real incidents, we show graphic and sometimes disturbing footage, and we don't shy away from strong language or adult conversations. There may or may not also be alcohol involved. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. Everything you hear or see on the show is for entertainment and educational purposes. It is not legal advice and it's not tactical instruction, and it shouldn't be used for such. By continuing to watch, you're telling us that you understand, you accept all of this. All right, now let's get into it. All right, welcome back to Cops, One Donut. I am your host, Sergeant Eric Levine, and today I have our special guest with me, Seth, the Texas detective. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm fantastic. How are you today?
Doing great. You and I have we've been buddies, I guess, now for a little while on the social media. So I first found you, discovered you over on TikTok. And anytime somebody gets on there and is claiming to be a cop, I start paying attention. And my bullshit meter goes off pretty quick when I'm like, this guy's full of shit. Yours did not set my bullshit meter off. And so I started looking into you. I goes, not only is he not full of shit, like this guy knows his stuff. And I really wanted to get you on as a guest. And so for those that are wondering, tonight is not about blaming parents, blaming kids, or telling everyone to throw every phone in the trash. Okay, because you guys are going to hear a lot of stuff about that, I'm sure. Tonight's about awareness. The reality is most parents are behind the curve. They know the old stranger danger talk, but they do not understand how fast predators build trust online, how they move kids into private conversations, how sextortion works, and how shame keeps victims silent. So tonight we're going to talk about what parents need to know, what kids are not telling them, and what to do if your child is targeted. That's kind of what I wanted to do tonight. That is his specialty. He is an ICAC, as we call it in the industry, detective. But I want, if you guys are like, why is he reading? I never read, by the way, Seth. You probably don't know that. But I read it because I really want people, when they listen to this episode on our audio, I want them to know exactly what this episode is going to be about, because I think it's that important. Cops tend to hate dealing with crimes against children because it's one, it's taboo. Two, it stays in our souls, and it takes a special person to be able to handle it. I am not one of those, and I know that about myself. So that's why I never did it. But guys like you deserve a lot of respect, and you don't get the attention you guys deserve because nobody wants to hear it.
That's it.
It's the thing everybody wants to just turn their back to because they're like, oh, it doesn't affect me, and I don't want that in my brain. I don't blame people. I don't blame them. But Seth, I want you to kind of build your own credibility up here. So why don't you kind of throw what you can with your resume? I know you're an active cop. We don't talk about our departments on here unless you want to. But go ahead and give people your background, sir.
Yeah, so I've been in law enforcement for actually July 8th, coming up in just a few days, will be 10 years for me that I've been licensed. So, I started out doing street work, doing all the things that way. And then there were a few calls, on patrol that over time, I was like, man, I wonder what came of that case with that kid, whether it be a drowning case or a physical abuse or sexual abuse of a child case, that I kind of wanted a little bit more, um, I guess, a little bit more insight to. So whenever I got the opportunity to move to detectives, I took that test and did all the interview boards and all that stuff that way, and started just kind of taking all types of investigations. Nobody was really specializing in anything related to kids, and we actually had a contract with our county that I work in that they would just work those cases for us because nobody had ever been trained on that. Um, so I decided to put in for different types of trainings for whether it be unidentified body homicides or just any type of sexual abuse of a kid case, investigations, unexplained homicides of children, all these different things, unexplained deaths of children. Um, and it kind of piqued the interest of my chief at the time. And he said, hey, notice you've gone to a lot of these trainings. Do you want to do that? And I was like, absolutely. So that was in 2022. I believe, 2022, 2023. Um, and so I really just kind of hit the ground running from there. We got to work with some really cool people and build some good relationships. But yeah, at the end of the day, I know for a fact that a lot of people, whenever it comes to working any type of case with a kid involved, cops generally are like, "Oh, hands off!" Like I don't know
Yep.
how to talk to kids. It's sometimes I'll get calls from patrol officers on the way to a scene. They're like, "Hey, there's a kid here. What do you want me to do?" I'm like, "Well, first get there, figure out what you got, and if you need to call me, you can."
Yeah.
Um, so anything to do with kids, it's just a red flag. We're good at dealing with adults, but whenever it comes to kids, it's kind of a sensitive subject. But what really I think makes me passionate about it is they're so vulnerable, the most innocent beings in the world, and then you have these really nasty adults, and even some teenagers that just they take that vulnerability and they exploit it. So
Yeah.
that's really and I've got a couple of kids of my own, so. Uh, I've got a soft spot for kiddos. Like I know I spoil my kids, and I think all kids should have some level of spoiling themselves.
Yeah. You tell me if it worked the same for you, but I know anytime I had a bad family domestic situation or whatever it is that a kid was involved, you come home and the first thing you do is you just go check on your kids. Like that's the decompression state where you got eyes on, you can smell them. I know that sounds weird to some people, but like the smell of the room, like all of these things help secure inside your soul that they're okay, even though you knew they were. But there's that you just can't help but put yourself in the position where you're their parent, the of the victims, and it just I would come home every time, and I just my wife would know like bad day, and I'm like, yeah, I just had to check on the kids
Hmm.
and see how they
Well,
are.
it's that, and then when you go to some of these cases or some of these calls, and you go in the house and you see toys that like you recognize from your home, right? You're like, oh, my kid has that same thing. It really, I don't know, solidifies that feeling that you really want to make sure you do right by that kid. Do everything you can to make sure that they are taken care of and that we can keep them from having to be a victim again.
Yeah. I want to get to this question tonight. Not yet, Freeman. He's one of our regulars here. Um, but have you worked with people that find predators for you? So I don't want to touch on that yet. I want to get to it later in the episode because that is a great question. I'm a big fan of people that like to catch predators. Doesn't matter who they are, but I want to get into the do's and don'ts of that a little bit later. So with that said, sir, let's jump into probably what most people are wanting to hear right off the gate. At least I do as a parent. What types of cases are you seeing most often right now for the grooming, sextortion, fake profiles, gaming platform contact, child sexual abuse material trafficking, or something else?
Yeah. So we see a lot of sextortion, financial sextortion, because there's different forms of sextortion. Financial is what we're seeing the most of right now, and that
Can you
is
kind of
one.
explain what it is?
Yeah. So financial sextortion is basically where the typical age range is about 13-year-old male to 17-year-old male, which I have seen some adults fall into this as well, but it's typically 13 to 17-year-old males. They will be on, whether it be Snapchat, they get a friend request, or whatever their platform is that they're on. They get a friend request from a girl who looks like she's about the same age as this soon to be victim, and they will accept that friend request. And from there, they get messages. Um, just like, hey, how's it going, trying to build rapport with them. It's a very short rapport building phase, typically, where they just try and build a relationship with that kid, try and make them relax, and then they'll move it into it's almost this every time: do you want to play a game? And that game is always, you send me a nude photograph and I'll send one back.
Uh,
If the victim is like, no, I don't want to do that, I don't feel comfortable sending the first one, then the sextortioner will send a picture of a juvenile that they've taken advantage of before, more than likely. But once they get that picture of the victim, they will run with that and they'll put it on posters. I'll put it on all kinds of stuff and send it directly back to the victim and say, here's a picture of you. It says that you're a predator, that you're a pervert, that you're a sex offender, all these things. I'm going to send a picture of your penis or whatever that thing was that you sent. I'm going to send that out to everybody on your contact list, from Instagram, TikTok, X, whatever it may be. they'll send screenshots at all other people, and then even sometimes their school administrators, and say, if you don't send me $300 or $400, I'm going to send this out. So we're seeing that a lot. And one thing I always tell people is don't pay, because whether or not you pay, if they're going to send the picture out, they're going to send it. But if they send it out and you've already paid them $2,000, because once you pay that $500, it's never enough, because then they're going to need more and more and more. So if that picture is going to come out, it's going to come out.
Yeah, I would recommend you just don't take pictures, guys. The internet's forever.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, like, I was a 13, 14-year-old boy at one time, but like, just sending pictures out like that, when
Yeah,
you never met somebody in person anyways, you've known this person for 4 or 5 minutes and you're already sending pictures like that. That's a big red flag.
yeah. And how old are you, Seth?
I'm 33.
Okay, so I don't. Maybe it was a thing when you were in school, but when I was in school, the maybe they had Nextels. That was like the best cell phone that you had at the time, where the most you could do is walkie-talkie to somebody. Like, there was no photographs or anything like that. And
Yeah.
now these kids, like, it's a part of culture.
Hmm.
I mean,
Oh yeah.
as soon as they can and own a phone, like, they're already able to take pictures and send stuff, and their brains have not developed enough to understand the consequences
Yeah.
and the finality of these decisions. So that's why
Yeah.
parenting is so important, you guys. I
It
mean,
really is.
yeah,
And like
as
you had
much as
mentioned
you can.
earlier, it's
Oh, go
not to
ahead.
point fingers at the parents, but you don't know what you don't know, right?
Right.
Um, but if anybody's listening here and they have kids that are going through something like that, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children has a tool called Take It Down, where you can take that picture of your kid, as uncomfortable as it seems, you upload it to the National Center, and it will scan all the social media sites. And if that picture's out there, there's a good chance they can have it taken down.
Yeah. If you guys haven't seen our mods, thanks Twitchy, she's sharing um your YouTube channel. He's got a good TikTok channel going as well. Also
Yeah.
his
Instagram.
Instagrams. So we're gonna be
Yeah.
we'll be sharing that all night. So
Yeah, I apologize. I tried to put my links on here, and I was having a hard time with it. So,
no worries. It happens, man. No big deal. Okay. So in that, what is the biggest misconception parents have about online predators?
uh, I think it's the most obvious one that I think I hear all the time is it's not going to happen to my kid. There's been
Okay.
a study. Yeah. There's been a study. I don't know who's out there counting how many predators are online at any given minute, but it's estimated to be about 500,000, maybe just over now. At any given time, there's approximately 500,000 predators online. I don't know how you really gather that number, um, but that number's been put out. So, you take however many kids are on the internet at any given time, it doesn't seem like that big of a problem. Like, what are the odds that one of those 500,000 are going to run across my kid out of all the millions? Um, but what happens whenever it does happen? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, are you prepared, or is your kid prepared for that? And I think that's the biggest thing is, if we don't prepare our kids and have those talks about what are safe discussions, and things that people should never tell you or ask of you, I think we kind of set our kids up for failure, especially just exposing them to the world. uh, See, like Luna's got numbers out there, 500,002. That's crazy. Um, but I don't know. I think that's the biggest thing is people just don't think it's going to happen to their kid, because
Yeah.
everybody I work with tells me that same thing. I never thought it would happen. I'm like, yeah. So,
Yep. Yep. Exactly. When parents hear internet crimes against children, what do they usually picture, and how wrong is that picture?
um, whenever people think of like predators for ICAC, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
So,
I personally think they're thinking of Chris Hansen like every single time.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
why don't you have a seat?
yeah. So,
Yeah.
whenever we think, I don't know, and it's like you can run some of these search warrants for like a child pornography case, and we do the whole investigation to figure out who's in that house, and we can usually narrow it down. Like, oh, that guy kind of fits that thing. But um, I would say what people typically think of is that it's some um, computer person that has all the knowledge and stuff on how to manipulate a computer and try and hide the access that they have and stuff. But I don't think that's always the case. I mean, I've worked cases involving coaches, that they've got a base understanding of it, but for the most part, I don't feel like I run across a whole lot of in-depth computer nerds to say.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, most of them, I mean, I run across a lot of people that really didn't have any computer backgrounds.
Gotcha. Okay. Now, when we're talking, I want the parents to understand the risk, that age range. Who are the highest risk, and then kind of the immediate, and then when can they stop, worrying so much about what their kids are doing? But like, what
Yeah.
would you say the age ranges are for the most vulnerable?
The most vulnerable, I would say probably, I mean, I feel like kids are getting access to things earlier now. But I would say most of my victims are 12 to 16, maybe 17. Um, but I hear of kids 18, 19 still doing the same types of things. But and then the youngest that I've worked a case for was 7. So um, it's it's really just any of the kids. I would say if you're giving your kid access to a phone, um, they're at risk. But I would say the majority of them that I see are probably about 10 to 17 years old.
10 to 17. Jeez, oh
Yeah,
Pete's.
the ones who are having all that access to like Roblox, they're occupying all their time with Roblox or Snapchat or whatever it may be. I would say that's our biggest
Now,
risk factor.
I've said this on the show before, and this is only because I've talked to guys like you and, been around, but I want people to hear it from you. Like, I
Yeah,
try to tell people, if there is something that attracts kids to it, that is where they're going to be. So, video
absolutely.
games is huge. Roblox, any of them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, people used to be like, I don't want my kid to go to the playground because there's perverts there trying to take my kid. Unfortunately, a lot of kids don't play on playgrounds as much as they used to because they are more on their computers and they have more access to different types of online gaming. And that's the thing. Like, predators are going to know they're going to go where the kids gather the most. And that is Roblox. I can't tell you how many times I get reports per month from Roblox.
Right.
Roblox and Instagram, Snapchat obviously is a huge one. TikTok. Um, those are, I would say, probably some of the leading social media ones that I see.
All right. We got Luna sent in a question here and said, what can someone who doesn't have kids do to help combat this?
Mm, someone who, well, I mean, first off, if you run across somebody like you're on your own social media thing, you see something going on. I mean, you can report. You don't have to always report things to the police, but if you think it's suspicious, like um, I have people send certain things to me who are like, "Hey, I think this person is doing something with their kids. They do odd behavior with this child or whatever." You can report that to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and they will even look into it a little bit and see if something meets something there. And if it does, they will send it to wherever that account may be based out of. Um, but I think honestly, like, I know it sounds very cliche to say, but if you see something, say something. Even if you don't have a kid, but you see a kid experiencing, and it doesn't have to just be sexual abuse, um, but you see a kid experiencing some type of physical abuse or something out and about. I mean, you're an adult. We got to step in and try and take care of our kids, even if they're not our own.
Yeah, I agree. And I'll piggyback on that. Yeah, if you guys are seeing something, because sometimes they'll think you're a kid, like
Yep.
you'll get solicited out of nowhere. It
Yep.
could be a bot, it could be all sorts of things. But if you see it, one, report it to TikTok or whoever, whatever you're on, report it to that system, and that you're probably all you're going to do is just get that account banned, and they're just going to create a new one.
Yep.
Um, it stifle their attempts. But the other thing that you can do is, I tell people, put them on blast. I've had people reach out to me before, and this was earlier in the internet, but 'cause I don't think it really works as well anymore. But put them on blast. Just say, hey, this guy's creepy. He might slip in your DMs. Watch out for him,
Yeah.
and take a little screenshot. If it is a
Yeah.
real person and they're just getting into this stuff and they haven't done their homework and they're idiots, then a little public pressure never hurt nobody. So, um, let me see. What other questions have we got here? How often do offenders pretend to be another kid?
Oh, I mean, it happens all the time.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, a kid's probably not going to. openly, like if we're talking on an online sense,
Yeah.
a kid's not going to want to just go out and talk to a 45-year-old man. Um, but with the use of AI and stuff like that, it's not very hard to pretend that you're a 12-year-old little girl, um, and have access to the same things as these kids have access to, because all kids' minds think of is they want friends.
Yeah.
Whether they're not able to make friends out at school or on their baseball team or whatever it may be, softball teams, if they can make friends online, then it means something to them. And
Yeah.
these predators, they know that. They know how to build that relationship with the kid. So I would say
What's
almost every time that I've worked a case of online sextortion or anything like that, it's involved somebody pretending to be a juvenile.
Okay. I kind of want to get into how and who they target. I'll give a shout out to Mr. Billfold here in the chat. He said, "Hey folks, I'm in the chat now." He's one of our regulars. To all our regulars, what's going on, guys? So let's get into the vulnerable. Now we know the age range, but there's always particular types of kids they're looking for, and they're asking specific questions, and it's that grooming process of them trying to figure out if this is the proper target or not. Um, what type of kids are they looking for, generally speaking?
Um, I honestly, I believe that a lot of it has to do with troubled kids, kids who like to run away or kind of rebel against their parents, don't have good relationships with their parents. And you hear people say, people with daddy issues. I do believe that is an actual thing, because I do some undercover chat stuff, and that's something that I run into a lot. Is um, the whole "is your dad present" kind of thing, right? Um, because I know that's what predators look for. Even going through so many different types of trainings and watching interviews in progress, um, people just talking about how they would target kids who had a weak dad or a non-present dad, somebody who just wasn't there for their kid. Um, so I mean, all of those things, honestly, trouble at home, trouble at school, not present with parents. Parents don't really care what the kid's doing. If the kid has access to get out of the house, those are the ones they're going to go after.
Okay, so that goes to show for the parents out there or any like us, like just even me as a parent seeing my kids' friends, like I can tell the ones that are a little more susceptible to things like that are
Absolutely.
always looking for some sort of recognition or acceptance and things like that. Like you got to pay attention to that stuff, guys.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. And I mean, I even think of it like my house is a safe place, right? Like I know for a fact a kid is not going to be sexually abused in my house, but some of my kids' friends who just come over and their parents have never really even tried to meet me. I'm like, how do you just let your kid
yes.
go stay somewhere without even knowing the dad? I personally, my kids don't really ever go anywhere to stay the night. I don't. I'm not a fan of that. But we welcome other kids to come here if they want to.
Yep.
But you'd be surprised by how many parents I've actually never even met. They just drop their kids off at my front door, and like, what in the
Yeah.
world? That makes no sense to
Insane.
me.
Nope. I tell my kids no. Both mom and dad are coming over.
Yeah,
I have found in most instances there is no dad. So,
yeah,
no offense to my kids' friends, but yeah,
yeah.
there's usually not a dad in the picture. But anyway, same thing. I don't want them unless I've met them and I've built that trust up with them. KP Nation asked, "Do you think the amount of PDFs have gone up since the launch of social media?" He would believe so.
Um, I mean, maybe documented, but I think a pedophile is a pedophile, whether they had access to the internet or not. They still have that attraction to kids. So I would say maybe the um, recognized numbers probably have. I mean, just it's so easy to have access to kids. It's insane. So I would say
Yeah.
since social media, absolutely.
Yeah, I think the awareness of it has definitely went up simply
Yeah,
because of social media. And let's talk just about that type of number. Now, it doesn't just have to be crimes against children necessarily on the internet, but because I'm sure you deal with all of it. I want you to really put the numbers of just give me one in 1 month in your your area of Texas, and we're not mentioning where, but in your area of Texas and what you've dealt with, just in that one fishbowl, how many of these types of people do you think are floating around the internet where you're at? See, that's the reaction I
Buddy,
knew I was gonna get.
I could put a post on the internet right now, and within a minute, I have 75 responses, and it's
Isn't
location based.
isn't that insane?
It's insane.
Insane.
It's disgusting, and none of them are, "Hey, you shouldn't be on here." It's all,
Right.
uh, "Hey, let's meet up right now," or, "Do you wanna see a picture of my penis?" or whatever. It's like, what in the world?
Yeah.
What in the world?
That
So,
is insane.
and that's location based. If I made that throughout the whole state or nationwide, oh, I wouldn't have enough time to read through all the messages.
Right?
But
Uh,
it never fails. As soon as you post, it is in like somebody just opened the floodgates.
Now we had I think he's since retired, but we had a guy from I think it was Phoenix on. This is real early in my podcasting, so it's very hard for me to remember. I apologize, guys. I've been doing it 5 years now. He actually wrote a book on internet crimes against children, I believe, but they did a sting, just a 1 month sting in his city. And in that 1 month, they had like 400,000 hits of like actionable. They could have all been actionable offenses where they could have made arrests, and they had to go after just the most heinous out of the 400,000. And he's like, you don't even want to know what what they had to choose from to go after the most heinous of them. That
Yeah.
is
And a lot of it is, you can weed some of these people out by like just knowing their history. Because once you start talking to some of these people, they'll tell you some of the craziest things that you're like, oh, why would you ever tell anybody that? And,
right.
sometimes I get um, chat logs sent to me from different organizations where I can read all the stuff that these people are talking about. And it is the most disgusting, disturbing stuff that I'm like, why do these people think like this?
Right.
And that's people talking about um and I know you said things get graphic, but that's people talking about choking children out with their genitalia, right? It's just all the nasty things. It's like that makes your stomach turn when you
Yeah.
read this. Like somebody actually did this to a kid. Um, and then people bragging about the things that they do to their own kids. And you're like, why? Why?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think that's kind of like how you weed some of that stuff out. But um, did you hear about Soteria Shield? Um, there was it. I believe it was ran this year. It was a more extended type of thing, but um,
No, elaborate, sir. I don't know what you're talking about.
so Soteria Shield. It was based out of this one was just kind of throughout Texas, um, but it's done different times of the year and all these different things. But it was actually put out on this is out on the FBI's website, so I'm not giving out any crazy information. But over a month long investigation, there were 276 arrests, 89 kids rescued, and 91 law enforcement agencies involved. Um, and that was primarily North Texas. So that's home for me. But that's and that's people trying to focus on doing that, but also having to do their other day-to-day work as a
Right.
detective to investigate these types of things. So if we were all able to just stop everything we could for a month, that number will probably be so much higher. But 276 arrests in a month is crazy to not be able to say that was our full-time dedicated work just for that, because we still had other things to handle. But
Yeah.
and then that's, like I said, that's primarily just North Texas.
Yeah. It's insane. The numbers, the sheer numbers, and then just like you said, not every department has the luxury of being able to have a detective that just specializes in something that heinous.
Yeah.
Because you also have at a lot of places, and for those that don't know, you've got a detective that's trying to help in these child sex crimes cases, but they're also handling a burglary of a vehicle. They're
Yeah.
also, they got they gotta, and how do you tell a victim that they're not a priority when they were a victim of a property crime and stuff like that? Like
And
they're a tax, they're a taxpayer.
that's tough because every now and then I still do get stuck with, a fraud case or a burglary of a motor vehicle. And to me, it's like, it's hard to just be. able to focus on that when you know you have kid victims. But at the same time, it's just like you said, how do you tell somebody that they're not a priority because they're still a victim? And
Right.
so it's like trying to balance those two. You're like, obviously, I'm more passionate about helping these kids than I am about somebody who left their car unlocked and having something taken out of their car. But at the end of the day, I'm still going to do everything I can for both of them.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I wanna kind of, we're about 30 minutes in. I kind of want to wrap up the parents and children side of this. Is there anything on the parents and children side that we haven't touched on? No pun intended.
Yeah.
That the cop humor, guys. I'm sorry. That you think is important to get out there.
Yeah. Just watch your kids. Just watch your kids. I think it's a very big misconception that people believe that kids are being sexually abused by people that kids don't even know. But in all reality, I think it happens about 7% of the time. Um, I actually have the stats. It's it's crazy how often that our kids are being perpetrated by somebody they know. So 93% of child sex abuse victims under the age of 18 know their offender. So 59% of that is acquaintances and 34% is family members. So that leaves only 7% that are completely unknown strangers. So whether that is your brother, your dad, sometimes even your mom, your grandma, aunt, whatever, or a friend or a close family friend. Those are some of the hardest cases I've worked to see families fall apart because they never thought that this person was going to sexually abuse their kid, and it was somebody they had trust with. Um, so, I've had cases where kids were sexually abused in the same room as the parents, and they never suspected it.
Jesus.
Because sex abuse isn't always extreme violence. It can be, but it can also be just very, very subtle, minor movements that you would never really even notice. And then the kid's
Yeah.
scared to say anything. So,
Are there any tools for parents like that they can put on their phones or anything like that, computers that you can recommend?
yeah. So, like if anybody watches my TikTok and Instagram, they'll hear me talk about bark a whole lot. And I will never promote something that I don't use myself. And I use bark, and it's great. I know some people they'll say, well, this, and this, it doesn't work for this. Nothing's ever going to be foolproof. But if you don't want to go with bark, go with some other parental controls, but something to monitor what is going on your kid's phone or their computer or their iPad, whatever it may be. And it's not to eavesdrop and it's not to invade privacy, anything like that. I don't know everything my kid talks about, but I do know when my kid brings up something that's either medically concerning or depressive, or if there's any kind of sexual referencing, anything like that. I'm alerted to those things. And I think that's where parental controls help parents and kids really save a lot of heartache and a lot of depression that way. Because if you don't know what your kid's going through, this is something I forgot to say on the sextortion side of things. I believe the number or the average time if a kid is going to kill themselves after they've been sextorted it's in the 20-minute time frame, 20 to 30 minutes. So if you're not aware, you're more than likely going to be too late if your kid's going to kill themselves. So um, that's where I do believe parental controls can really honestly save your child's life.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, anything to give you a little bit of a head start and trying to prevent your kid, I think is a
Yeah.
very good thing.
Can you kind of just give a generalization of what bark all helps you watch?
Yeah. So I have the settings on my kid's phone. So we use the Bark phone. There's a watch, there's an app, and there's a phone. We use the phone. Um, so basically, um, anything violence, sex related. If somebody tries to talk to her in a way that's inappropriate, it'll notify me of that. Um, like she was sick just a couple days ago, and she texted her mom saying that she felt she wasn't feeling very well, and it gave me a notification that there was maybe medical concern going on. And so I'm like, oh, as minor as that whole thing is, I would rather know if it was something like I want the small things to catch, so I know for a fact I'll catch the big things. Um, but also, I know what she has access to. I don't allow her to have Snapchat. I don't allow her to play Roblox. So if she wants to download those things, it has to send a request to me, and I approve it or I deny it.
Yeah.
Um, And so I want her to know how to use technology. I'll allow some things, but if there's messaging options on there or anything like that, we don't do that. But I don't want to hold her back from being able to use technology because technology is continually growing and it's not going anywhere. But I
Yeah.
want to teach her to use it safely, and I think um, that's where we kind of fail sometimes as parents. Is um, I've referenced it in videos before. We teach our kids how to crawl before they can walk and walk before they can run and ride a bicycle with a helmet. And they learn how to drive a car with us there with them, teaching them before we throw them keys and say, hey, take off, drive down the highway, and hopefully you make it. But
Yeah.
whenever they turn 10, we just throw them a phone and give them all the access to the world,
Right.
and the world access to our kids. Like
Yep.
I've even phrased it, we would never be okay with our kid going to sleep with a 40-year-old man, but we're okay with a 40-year-old man coming in our kid's bedroom and may not physically be there, but they're there on the phone and they're trying to talk to our kids. So parental controls, I believe that's our way to kind of mitigate what's going on, make it
Yeah.
harder for the predators.
Yeah. I'm see. That's the type of stuff I was hoping to share tonight. Just
Mhm.
I want people to understand. There's tools out there that we can use. We can help monitor our kids. There's I hate saying it.
Absolutely.
Sometimes you got to teach parents how to parent. It,
Yeah.
it's 100% true. And don't let your ego get in the way, parents. If you're like, I ain't letting nobody tell me how to parent my kids, like
Yeah.
that's your ego. You're supposed to be looking out for the best interests of your kid, not you as being a parent. So I don't have the answers to everything. There's stuff that I've learned in this job that I learned from other cops on parenting that I just didn't think about. A lot of them from crimes against children, guys. Like I never would have thought of video games being a place for these guys to go start grooming. And one of the things that I hear they like to do with these vulnerable kids is they'll send them a brand new cell phone,
Yep.
and
Yep.
and and now that's their connection, and the phone's got all the hackware and stuff that they need to see where that kid's at, and that's how they end up getting them. So
So there's innocent little apps that attract like the younger group. One of them is called I never know if I'm saying it right or not. Is Zepito or something that's like Zepeto or something like that. Um, I've had kids victimized on there where they build that relationship. That like, this suspect will build a relationship with a kid on there, and they will actually talk them through how to make a Snapchat or how to download sessions or something like that, where you have disappearing messages, because disappearing messages make it harder for parents to notice what's going on, anyways. But um, they will actually talk them through how to create all these different accounts, and they'll switch over to those platforms and exploit kids. So it
yeah,
won't always stay like, let's say, Roblox. It won't always stay on Roblox. It'll start maybe there, but then they're going to move over to Snapchat or Sessions or really anything that has encrypted messaging or deleted messaging. So
unreal.
but if parents don't know those things, how do you teach your kids how to be safe with it? And
Right.
I think that is honestly the only way that we can actually slow down how often kids are being exploited, by teaching parents what to talk to the kids about.
Yeah.
But like you mentioned kind of earlier on, people, even cops, don't want to really know about what's going on to these kids because it's nasty and it kind of makes you feel sick. But if
Yeah.
we ignore it, it only gets worse.
Right.
And that
Yeah.
was that was actually the whole point of me making a social media was, which Tim Tebow, he does it a lot now. He talks about it, but at that point, I remember telling my wife, I'm like, nobody talks about how often kids are being abused, and you know, imagine waking up every day. Like my kids, they get to wake up to Christmas morning knowing they've got Christmas gifts and they've got all these different presents. And their birthday is a special day for them. But some of these kids who are being trafficked and they're just being sexually abused every day. Every day is living hell for them,
Yeah.
right? They get to wake up and they get to face the nasty reality that they're victimized and they are being trafficked. And some of these kids, they end up being killed. So that's the honest truth. And I'm like, why do people not talk about it?
Yeah.
And after going to some trainings and stuff, I'm like, man, that makes me feel gross. Like hearing about
Yeah.
this stuff and how often it happens. But that's when you remember things. Like when you become uncomfortable, you hear something that sticks with you a little bit, you'll always remember it.
Yeah.
Almost like a trauma response, right? Like, man, I can't get this thought out of my head, but I would rather know how to keep my kids safe than
Mhm.
not. But I can go on and on about this because I'm very passionate about it because I'm like, if if every kid just had the opportunity to grow up and do the things that they were destined to do, the world would be a better place. But unfortunately, we have these really nasty people who need to be taken care of, and
Yeah.
prison, and I
Yeah.
like some of these states that are pushing for the death penalty. I would like to see the state of Texas push for that for a little bit.
Yeah, actually, I think it was KP Nation said something a little bit earlier. He wanted to know your opinion on. He said, "So, what are your thoughts on Idaho's new law on convicted pedo execution to firing squad?"
Absolutely, do it, do it.
So, you mean to tell
So,
me you don't think there's a rehabilitation program for that?
oh, I do not. I
Okay.
don't think there is at all.
I
Uh,
don't think there is either, sir.
it's I think they can fake it. I think they can act like they're better,
Mhm.
because they're not crazy. They're
No.
they're sick in the head for sure, but
Yeah.
they're not crazy. So they can fool anybody. If they can fool kids into believing that they're a 12-year-old, they can tell somebody, "Oh yeah, I'm better. I won't do it again," until they have access to do it
Yeah.
again.
They
So yeah,
act
absolutely.
they absolutely have the sociopath tendencies where they can blend into their environments where they go and fool a lot of people. So that's kind of what I wanted to get into next is like the bad guy side of this. Like, what are some signs and symptoms that we need to be paying attention to for those around us that may be predators? How are we start seeing these guys?
So like you hear of coaches, right? You hear of coaches, you hear of teachers, all these people who have access to our kids. Um, the people that, as parents, we may not even realize that there's something fishy going on there. But if you start looking at it a little bit deeper, like, hey, why is this coach showing favoritism toward my kid? Like, there's
Yeah.
no reason this coach should be offering to buy my kid new basketball shoes or buying them food at school and all these other things. Like, to me, that's red flag behavior. I'm like, no, like whether or not you believe that that's grooming, I'm not taking that risk. I'm like, hey, stay away from my kid. Like,
Yeah.
I can buy my kid lunch at school. I don't need you to DoorDash food to my kid, anything like that. That can be the smallest amount or the smallest, I guess, gesture of grooming, and you may never even think of it. But then it comes out that they've also been talking to your kid in the locker room and all these different things. So um, just really trying to pay attention to who has access to your kids, and really, like I said, I don't allow my kids to do sleepovers. That's just my policy as a parent. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Um, and it's not always the parent, I guess, that we really have to worry about. I've worked cases where um, kids have been perpetrators.
Right.
So
Step
it
siblings. I've
yeah,
seen all of it.
yeah, if you look at it and all the like totality of it, it's like, man, it's overwhelming because you're like, man, everybody's a suspect. But in all reality, they're not. I think there's more good people than there are bad. But the bad ones really, they kind of ruin it for everybody because they don't show themselves as bad until it's too late.
Right.
So to answer your question, how do you really tell or prevent somebody from accessing your kids? Um, I think it's just honestly, it can be the smallest little thing that can be a grooming behavior, right?
Yeah.
Coaches, teachers, youth pastors, cops, doctors, you name it. Really, anybody who has access to your kid, I think predators put themselves in positions to have access to kids, and it's not suspicious.
Yeah.
Um, like if I wanted to have access to a kid and I wanted to do something to a kid, I would do something where I'm primarily just around kids
Yeah.
and nobody's going to second guess my position,
Yeah.
right?
I
So,
mean, shit. Look at Disney.
you know, I, I made a video. Man, it was probably 3 weeks ago or so, maybe a month, talking about the new Disney or the whatever Universal Studios opening up in Frisco, and I'm just like, if you think that some of these people there aren't predators, you're naive.
Yeah.
Um, sure, I would like to think that the majority of the workers there are going to be honest, good people who care about kids and just want to bring joy to kids, but they can do all the backgrounds in the world, and they're not going to catch the one who may slip through or the two or three, however many they're hiring. I don't know, but just because they don't have a criminal record doesn't mean they're not a predator. They just haven't been
Right.
caught.
Yeah. Right. No, 100%. Yeah, dude, all of these, and I'm glad you said cops because we've
Yep.
busted them ourselves,
Yep.
where I'm at. So yeah,
Yep.
uh, you're right. It's these positions of trust that makes it harder to spot and easier to trust. Obviously, because it, man, I'm uncomfortable talking about it right now. That's why I
So
was,
that's the thing. Like whenever I do like speaking engagements and stuff, and
yeah,
I go talk to parents, I tell them, "Hey, my job is by the end of this, I want you to feel uncomfortable. I want you to kind of have
yeah,
that nasty little pit in your stomach because
yeah,
then I know I did my job. I got my point across. Because,
yeah.
like I said earlier, if I can make you uncomfortable, you're going to be more willing to
I
remember that."
fucking hate it, dude. I just hate it. It's like, it drives me insane because, a lot of the guys have been talking in the chat, HBO Matt, who's in the house. What's up, HBO Matt? He's our Second Amendment rights guy.
Oh, yeah.
One of them, First Amendment rights guy as well. But he said, if we just keep arresting them, they won't come back, which,
Yeah.
holy shit, is that one of the most frustrating things ever when they keep
Well,
getting out because they were only caught with just, like what I consider it a big thing, but the courts for whatever consider it, well, it's just materials. It doesn't mean that they're dangerous. And you're
yeah.
like they're attracted to kids. Like,
Yeah. How much more dangerous can you be?
how much more dangerous can you get? Like,
Uh-huh.
how long are you going to be able to keep them urges back?
Yeah, and that's the thing. And so like there's this statistic, I may butcher it a little bit, but it's in the 70%, like 73 or 74% of child sex abuse material viewers. Anybody who's watching child pornography, there's a 73 or 74% chance that they've already physically, or I mean, sorry, sexually abused a kid. Um, and almost, I think every one of them that I've actually interviewed after I've arrested them, they've all told me that, they have the ideas and they have the thoughts of it. But that's their kind of their way of controlling the urge. And I've even had some of them describe it as a craving, um, to watch child pornography. I'm like, what in the world? That's crazy. That's just a wild
Yeah.
choice of words.
So HBO Matt dropping $2 in the chat. Thanks, buddy. He said, this was a police chief talking about me, Eric. Oh, yeah, he got arrested, or he at least threatens to get arrested for, just fighting for Second Amendment rights and
Yeah,
First Amendment rights. Like, it's
yeah,
crazy. Some of the
it
stupid
really
shit.
is.
Some of the stupid
Some
shit
cops
cops
drive me
do on
nuts with
the
that. Like,
I know.
just leave it alone.
Yeah, you see my platform. A lot of the stuff. I'm just like, look at this cop screwing up over here. Oh, look at this
Yep.
cop screwing up over here. Like, insane to me how many of us screw the pooch. And my guys are gonna love you automatically because you put cops in the that target area of people that can be predators.
Yeah.
And like, how else are we supposed to gain credibility when we try to turn a blind eye that even our own people can
No.
be predators? That's not would be
Yeah.
dishonest and disingenuous.
I bad cops like that. Oh man, I don't know. I can't stand them. Like I
Yeah.
tell everybody, I want my family to be proud of the profession that I have, and I want to leave a good experience with everybody I deal with. I'm never a jerk to people. Even whenever I'm working a case, I'm there to do a good job, and I'm there to make sure that I'm doing justice for the
Yeah.
victim. Um, but then you have the cops who go out and they just really, I'm like, where's your common sense?
Yeah.
Where is it? Like,
Yeah.
how are you expected to rescue people in need or protect people in need, and you can't even make just simple decisions? Like you
Right.
out here, it almost seems intentional that you're making stupid decisions. I don't know.
Yeah.
like,
Are you
like,
intentionally this obtuse?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Okay. So this was another question. This was a good one. This one was sent in. Said, walk us through the first 10 minutes after a parent finds out their child has been a victim. What do they do?
Uh, well, I actually got to observe a situation like that, and I would say, and maybe it's not every time, but I feel like it is probably more often than not. Extreme rage, anger, um, frustration, and then I think it kind of switches to guilt. Like, why did I not protect my kid?
Right.
but a lot of the time I tell them like, hey, if you didn't know about it, you didn't know about it.
Right.
Sure, if you could go back and change things, you maybe would know about it. But just being involved with your kid, I think, can tell you a lot. But I would say within like that first 10 minutes, from what I've seen personally, yeah, I'm gonna go kill that bastard, you
Yeah.
know. And I've got to try and talk them out of it. Like, hey, listen, your kid's going through enough. They need their dad, right? They need their dad to see them through this. They need you there to help them make it through this whole situation. And that seems to kind of calm them down a little bit. Maybe not so much calm down, but have them think more clearly about how to be there for their kid. Because me as a parent, I've oh man, I don't know. I've even thought like if somebody ever put their hands on my kid, you know,
Right.
I'm definitely losing my job, probably gonna lose my freedom. But at the end of the day,
I can
gotta
sleep at
you
night.
yeah, but you gotta try not to get caught so much caught up into that because like as much as you want to do something right for your kid, what's gonna help them move forward is having the parent still there for them.
Yeah.
Because if we go out and we just start offing people who did wrong to our kid, um, it's just gonna make it that much harder on our child who's already going through the worst time they could actually ever face, I think. So
What type of tips would you have for him, like things to say, things not to say to the kid if you find this out?
yeah, so um s things I would definitely not say. I wouldn't blame the kid,
Yeah,
even
they
if it
can
was
blame you. Yeah.
something that we think is crazy, right? Like a 13-year-old sending a picture of their business to somebody on Snapchat. Yeah, I'm gonna be frustrated. I'm gonna be like, "Well, what were you thinking?"
Yeah.
But if they come to me and they're distraught and they're actually, they're upset about what's happened to them, I don't wanna make it worse. I would say be there for them. Just,
Mhm.
"Hey, we're gonna get through this. Tell me all that you know about this person." And then try and document everything that you were able to get off of that. But um, biggest thing I think is encouraging them that hey, you're going to be okay. I know it feels like you're going through a lot right now, but this is just a little blip in your whole plan in life that I think we're going to be able to push through. It may not be easy, and maybe that picture will get out to some of your friends and some people at school, but next week somebody else is going to be the hot topic, right?
Yeah.
So let's get through this, just working through it together, and that's in the ideal world. I understand parenting; you'd be fired up, frustrated, like what were you doing?
Yeah.
But sometimes words can hurt pretty bad, especially in a situation where somebody's already devastated. So
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. Now when it comes to our side of the house, what we can tell parents, and I'll kind of lead off like don't confront the suspect. If it's
yeah,
a known, if it's an unknown, don't confront them. Don't lead on that you know anything. I know that's going to be hard to do, but
yeah,
please don't lead on. Save all of that info as much as you can find out for the detectives.
yeah,
So you got a good chance of getting them. You got anything to add on that?
yeah. I mean, I think you hit it right on the right spot. Like, don't go confront them as bad as you want to. Don't go over there. Don't let them know that you know anything. If there's communications happening over a phone or social media, anything like that, be willing to separate from that phone for a little bit, because we can do account takeovers, right?
Yeah.
That people don't even know that the conversation is switched from that kid to a detective or whatever, and then it helps us build our case even more. So definitely don't overreact, which I know is kind of hard to do,
Yep.
um, but report it.
Yeah.
I've had cases where little kids have been victims, and the parents were mad that the police showed up at the house because they didn't want the police in front of their home and slammed the door in our cops' faces. Like, no, get out of here. My kid did something stupid. I'm like, no, your kid was taken advantage of. We're here to do right by that child.
Right.
So make sure that, get your kid the help that they need. Don't overreact. Call the cops. And like you said, document everything that you can.
Yeah. Now, this is kind of the perfect opportunity. I want to, because some of the people are asking this question again. I said I wanted to get to this question a little bit later in the show. So we're about an hour in. So I think this is a good time to bring it up. Now, we've got, you can call them vigilantes, whatever you want to call them. You got a bunch of inspired wannabe Chris Hansons out there. And some of them do an excellent fucking job.
Yep.
I mean, excellent. And the guy I'm about to show you, he's a 20-year retired cop. He knows what he's doing. So I'm going to share the screen. Here we go. Share. I don't know how well it's going to show up on here. Okay. What looks better? There we go. That's bigger. All right. Let me hit play here.
Come over here, interviewed him.
You interviewed him too?
Yeah, we always interview.
How come not just give it to law enforcement once he started having sexual conversations?
Well, we don't have to Mirandaize them whenever we ask him any questions.
My question.
Okay, well let's hang on a second.
Yeah.
Let's just.
How come not just give it to law enforcement?
Okay, well first of all, with all due respect, because of this attitude, because we've done it before and they've taken it and said thank you very much. We never got any outcome out of it.
That you know of, maybe.
No, that I know for sure.
Well, I can't speak on every
Sure.
case that you bring to people.
Yes, ma'am.
But what I'm telling you is, when you guys take this into your own hands,
Yes, ma'am.
and you start talking to them, it's entrapment. You don't have all the classes to talk to people. You don't have all the wherewithal. We can't use any of that. And then you come down here and you interview him, which one, isn't safe on your part.
Sure.
Two, we can't do anything with it still. So now it's just a documentation, and you kind
Well,
of.
can I ask?
Hold on.
Sure, go ahead.
You kind of ruined anything that we could have done with it, because he probably is a creep, and he probably does need to go to jail.
Well, I'm certain he's a creep.
Yeah, and he does need to go to jail.
All right, if you don't mind, again,
Yep.
I'm not trying to be disrespectful at all.
No, go ahead.
I'm retired law enforcement, 20 years.
So you should know exactly what I'm talking
And I
about.
know you're also wrong, respectfully.
100% not. So go
Well,
ahead.
entrapment is not a statute, it's not a code, it's a legal defense.
Exactly, and it's how we lose cases.
Okay, but that entrapment only applies to law enforcement and government entities. It does not apply to private
You're working
citizens.
on behalf of us.
No, negative.
I'm still talking.
Quick back. All right. I will lead the charge because I don't want to just throw you out there. He's 100% right. She's fucking full of shit and was trying to get out of doing a report. That's what I saw. Instead of being excited and saying, oh my God, here we go. He's got all the ducks in a row for me. Let me help start getting this report started so a detective can help get going on this. That's how I see it. You know, we're both cops in the same state. Is there any validity to what she's saying in your opinion that you've seen? Because you're the expert. I'm not. And like I said, I've told you guys, I don't deal with these cases. There may be a point that she has that I'm not aware of, but I don't understand how that could just ruin a case. One, we citizens can't do entrapment. They're not cops. They're not government. So what's your thoughts, sir?
I think she's trying to get out of taking a report, honestly, is what it sounds like.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, she's like almost defensive for the guy. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you know, this guy's a pervert, like a predator,
Right.
obviously.
I'd be pumped. I'd be like, bro, really? You did all this?
Yeah.
That's fucking awesome.
Now, whenever it comes to going to court, hey, let them figure that whole thing out there. I'm still going to take that report.
Right.
If I'll tell you what the courts are going to look for, more than likely is if the chat was handled in what is referred to as like the ICAC standard, right? Where you're not leading the conversation, you're not the one who's bringing up the sex talk, you're not talking about meeting up, you're letting them initiate all of that stuff. You're just throwing out random things, right?
Yeah.
So I think that would be one of the biggest things. It's based off of how the conversation went.
Yeah.
But if I were a patrol officer and somebody came up to me and told me, hey, this guy's been talking to kids, I'm not brushing that off.
Right.
You know, I'm absolutely
And if
I'm
you
taking the report to see what we've got. And then, you know, if not able to make an arrest right then and there, at least, you know, try and get an arrest warrant on this dude, something. But
right. If it's a meetup, if you came to the, like, I don't know if the guy actually showed up on this one, but if you're on scene and they're showing me evidence that shows that you tried to meet up, it doesn't matter what the conversation was. You're going in cuffs. Like the end of like, I don't care. I'm going to let the DA figure out, oh, well, we didn't have it. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
I did
absolutely.
what I need to do.
If that person came there with the intent to have sex with a kid or engage in any sexual conduct, I don't see a reason in hooking that person up. Or I don't see a reason in not hooking that person up. Aside from the fact of whatever this lady's mind was doing, I don't know. But I've watched that video before, and I'm like, why would she argue that hard about something that we know is morally wrong and criminally? This guy, he's violated a penal code. I don't care what state you're in. I don't know of a single state that it's okay to go talk to who you believe is a child and want to go have sex with them. So
and having one, it was ego. That was the big part. 2, laziness. This is just me speculating on my own opinion of doing this job for 20 years, guys.
yeah.
So you got laziness, ego, and then assumption. She just assumed it was Joe Blow citizen trying to be a vigilante, playing Batman, which I'm okay with that. But because we can't, I already told you guys about the 1 month case in Phoenix that had 400,000 potential arrest cases. We cannot possibly do this job alone. It's just, we're not going to be able to do it, but we can do it together as a community. And I got no problem with this guy doing that, especially if he knows what he's doing and putting solid cases together. He's only
for sure.
And even if they don't know, they're going to learn from trial and error.
Yeah,
figure out where they went wrong, fix it.
I believe in maybe the whole, like that whole video. I think the guy's even, and maybe I'm wrong about that one or not, but I believe that guy, he's actually had some cases that have gone to court and he's gotten convictions.
Yeah.
It's like, so the guy knows what he's doing. It's not just somebody out there who's, I can't think of a good reason for anybody to ever say they're going to go meet up with a kid, whether the conversation is led that way or not. But he's not out there with the intent of just trying to screw people over. People put themselves in those situations. Nobody's forcing them to say they're going to go have sex with a kid. So as a cop, why not? Why not hold this person responsible for what they've done? I don't know, but I've had, maybe not to that same extent, but I've had a citizen actually send me messages that they have with another citizen in my town, where the guy talks about all of his sexual fantasies and all these things that he wants to do with kids. And it's like, there we go. Like, I can do something with it. And I was actually able to take it over to the DA. So it's like, this is, it's definitely possible. I don't know why some cops just want to be a little bit more ridiculous.
Yeah, that's way too. You worked way too hard to not do a report, is what you did.
Absolutely.
Which is ridiculous. Ninu W4V, 2 corrupt pigs taking government money.
Wow.
I don't know if they're talking about us, but
yeah,
if they're talking about us, one can only assume that you support child predators.
Yes, that's exactly right. And I say that all the time. The people who always give negative feedback whenever we talk about how to protect the kids, those are the people that are mad because we know what they're up to.
Yeah, I would say maybe you should do better. Anyway, so Luna is so upset about my Detroit Tigers hat tonight. I'm sorry. So sorry you have a bad choice in teams that you like. So I will say the Tigers missed a golden opportunity. They played Texas on 250 on the anniversary. And, they're all wearing the red, white, and blue stuff, right? Now, they played the Texas Rangers, who are a red, white, and blue team. Neither the Rangers or the Tigers made their entire jersey in this fashion, which pissed me off because had the Tigers not, what I wanted them to do, they wore their gray jersey. That was mistake number 1. They should have wore their white jersey, and then where it says Detroit across it, or whatever one they wore, the one with the big Old English D here or whatever. Yep. That should have been red, white, and blue. But all they did was color the numbers. And they wore the gray jersey with the orange across. It looked horrible. It was horrible. It was a big mistake. The Rangers look good because the Rangers are red, white, and blue. So it still looked good, but it could have been a little better for the Rangers. But we whooped that ass 3-0. So is what it is, guys. Haters gonna hate. God bless these United States, but more importantly, he blessed the Tigers on the 250th. So is what it is. Yeah, I wish you a baseball fan?
So I go to a couple games.
Okay.
I go to a couple games a year for the Rangers, which we've got that hookup over there for some stuff. So
yeah.
So I definitely go for those, but.
I like it. All right. Let me go back here. Okay. So I'm glad so we're talking about, I'll get me back on track. I get distracted by baseball. So we're talking about, is it okay for people to do this? In my experience and now in your experience, we can say, I don't see why this would be a problem. I don't see why the case would automatically get thrown out. That's not our decision to make on the street for sure as a street cop. Let the detective decide that for one. I don't see an issue with it, especially if you've got a solid case and some dude's trying to meet up. Because most of the time, I think that's what they're doing. They get the case lined up. They set up the meet. The guy shows up. They have the cops meet him there once they've got everything they got. And he made a great point that I don't have to Mirandize people. I don't have to do any of that. I can't entrap people as a citizen. I don't have to read Miranda as a citizen. You don't. There's no requirement.
No, those are all hoops that we have to jump through.
Right. And I would say it's kind of like a cheat code for us to catch these guys.
And that guy wasn't working as a tool of ours that we set up for that.
Right. So he did it on his own time, on his own dime, got everything together, and then presented what he found. How is that any different than if a family member were going to gather a case when they find out their nephew got, molested or whatever? Yep. And they're like, oh my God, like they don't want to say anything to the parent because maybe the parent's involved and they don't want him to tell. So they get all the evidence together. It's no different.
Yeah, no, I think honestly it comes down to kind of what you signed up for as a cop. And I don't know that her priorities are in the right place. I don't know this lady. Maybe she was having a bad day, which really still isn't even a good excuse. But
don't make excuses for her.
Yeah, it's like, man, those are the ones that give cops a bad name, especially like that video is going viral.
Oh, yeah.
So, obviously for the right reasons, because like, hey, this is the reason some people don't like cops. Because we have people who, like I said, seem to just intentionally want to bring a bad name to the profession.
And I think it's important. This is why I do what I do. I think it's important for active cops to speak out against shitty cops.
Yeah,
and she may be a great cop any other day of the week, but you weren't on that day and you weren't on the worst type of crime.
Yeah.
Sorry, not sorry.
Yep.
Like you swore an oath, no different than you and me. And I take it seriously. And,
absolutely.
I guess the way that I kind of look at the crimes against children stuff is I take the oath so serious that I'm actually honestly worried that I would screw up a case, and that would break me. God, that would break me knowing that I screwed up a child case.
And I even have those conversations with prosecutors. I'm like, before going to court, I'll be like, hey, is there anything that I've done in this case that I should have done better or whatever? Because the last thing I ever want to do when it comes to a kid victim is screw it up to where their offender gets to walk because of a mistake that I made.
Yeah.
And that's probably one of the most important things is, some of these cases, they can be very in depth. And it's sometimes hard to remember everything you do on them. Or documentation. I mean, like, man, but we've got such good relationships with our prosecutors that they're like, hey, did any of this ever happen? Or where is this? I'm like, oh man, sorry, I completely forgot about that. Here it is. And we'll send it over. So everything has to be turned over for discovery. So, having great relationships with prosecutors makes a world of a difference, especially working these cases, because they understand the toll that it can take.
Yeah. John Bulak said, I'm in the same area. That's awesome. Thank you guys for what you do. I think he's the Blue Mound chief that he quit because the city council was, screwing over his department, like screwing over his guys. Like he stood up for his peeps and then got fired when I think that's his name.
Blue Mound. I think we follow each other on social media as well.
Yeah,
he was the chief over there, right?
Yeah, I think he was the chief. Maybe we should get him on here one day. Talk about. Yeah, he stood up for his people. They were like trying to do something stupid. Politics.
Yeah.
I don't know about.
Some chiefs aren't willing to stand up for their people, and that's why people leave them. That's why officers leave them. They're like, I love the city, but I mean, I'm not going to take the risk to work for a bad chief and bad council.
No, absolutely. Ryan said, how do you take your mind off the work when you're home? It can't be easy to turn off.
Man,
he beats his dog, guys. Just kidding. I'm kidding, guys. This is a joke.
So, whenever I'll tell you, the first time that I ever worked like an ICAC case, like it was a CP case, child pornography case. I kind of got thrown into the whole thing, right? I received the cyber tip, and I believe there were almost 300 video files, and I remember I'm like, I've got to watch every one of these to make sure that they are all containing child pornography. I know now I don't have to watch every one of them. I'm like, hey, just kind of randomly skim through and see what is what. But
Yeah.
I remember for like 9 hours, I sat there and watched this. And like, I think back to that day, I'm like, man, this was like a dark freaking tunnel. All I remember is this computer screen and some of these kids' faces. I'm like, I'll never forget that stuff. Um, but the majority of it, I feel like I'm able to turn it off just because like I do everything I can at work, and then I've got a little bit of a drive home. I don't have just a 5-minute drive home, so I have time to kind of talk to people on the phone. I've talked to my preacher about different things. Um, just I'm like, it's about to be a lot that I'm going to tell you, but I think if you try and hold it in, that's where you really can screw up. So whether it's talking to somebody, I don't really tell my wife a whole lot of things. But people at work, I'll talk to people at work. The city I work for, we actually have um, free counseling sessions and stuff that we can go to and paid time off. So after we work like something very difficult or disturbing, we can have a day or two or however really many days we need to recover from it. And we can go see counseling and all these different things. So it kind of just turns around that mindset of bringing the work home with me. Which I'm not going to say it doesn't affect me at home sometimes, right? Like, I think depending on what the case is, you're never going to be 100%, but still trying to be as good of a parent as I can for my kids is probably one of the most important things. Like, if I'm going to go do all these things for these other kids I don't really know, but I'm going to try and make sure that their life is better, I still got to remember I've got kids at home that I have to do the same for.
Yeah. I'm not going to put thank you, Harrison, for the 10 gifted memberships before I forget. But when it comes to the PTS stuff, related issues and things like that, obviously one of the reasons I avoid child crimes is because of specifically that. There's just such a higher risk depending on what it is you're dealing with. Mm-hmm. And for me, I have taken, I'll give you a little background, Seth, is my dad was a cop. He retired actually from the department that I'm at, but I didn't grow up here. I grew up in Michigan. And my mom and dad never got married. So my dad was down here. I'd come visit for the summer times and stuff like that. But with that said, being around my dad, I kind of seen a lot of cops, obviously, and a lot of failed relationships, a lot of alcoholics, a lot of, busted backs and all of that. Despite that, I still knew I wanted to be a cop at a certain point in my life and dedicated myself to doing that. And I took a lot of precautions. I learned martial arts. I knew I joined the military prior, before becoming a cop. I did all of these things. And one of the things that I realized that I wanted to do was the opposite of what I've heard a lot of cops give advice on through my dad. And that is, never tell your spouse about your work. Mm-hmm. And I don't agree with that to a point, especially when it comes to with what you deal with. Like, the point, the deal me and my wife made was, she'll ask, hey, like, I could tell you having a bad day. You want to talk about it? I'll say, yeah. How much do you want to know? Do you want the dumbed down version or do you want the full Monty? And I'll give the girl credit. We've been together since 7th grade. And yeah, it was just one woman for me.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah. And she's always wanted the full story and has always kind of looked at it as she goes, she's like, it's not a 50-50 relationship. It's 100-100 type mentality. She's like, so if you've got to deal with it, like, I need to be dealing with it with you to help you. And I said, okay. So we did that, and it has worked tremendously for us. I'm not going to say that works for everybody. And I honestly don't know how deep in the weeds I could get with what you deal with. I've only had one significant child case that I ever had to deal with. And I was a property crimes detective. Like, that wasn't my job. So I'll give you guys the backstory. I don't think I've ever told this one on here. So there's a Buddhist temple where I'm at, and I'm not talking like a little like stand-up Buddhist temple. I'm talking like, when you make the block, it looks like you just hit another country. It is ginormous. It's beautiful. It's actually one of the most incredible places I've ever seen. And it's so weird to see in Texas. So, but they were getting burglarized left and right because they leave everything open. They're Buddhists. And I'm trying to work with them, and I'm showing up and they're like, yeah, they broke in again. I'm like, damn, God, just lock this shit up at night, please. So now I'm taking me and my property crimes team. We're a field team. We don't spend a whole lot of time in the office. We find leads and we're out looking for these guys, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, let's swing by the Buddhist temple and just make sure they're good. Swing by and there's a car parked out front. I know they're not open. It doesn't make sense. The car looked out of place. So we just pull up behind and run the plate, and it's tags are out of date. Everything about it looks suspect. Make contact. It's a female driving and a male in the passenger seat. And right away, as we start to talk to them, things are weird. So I asked the guy to come out and talk to me. He's like, hey man, do you mind stepping out and talking to me? And he does, and so as he's talking to me, she's talking to one of my buddies, and we get together. I'm like, what'd your girl say? And she's like, well, she was homeless. She has 3 kids, and he rescued her from the homeless shelter. So he was going through grooming, looking for the right target. And as I'm talking to my guy, I'm asking him, like, whose car, is it your car? Is it her car? And I'm telling him, I'm pretty upfront when I'm doing an investigation. I'm like, hey man, we're here because this place keeps getting burglarized and you guys are parked out front. I was like, at an odd time, I'm looking out for these guys. They've been victimized too many times. Like, what's the deal? And he's telling me, he's like, oh no. He's like, that's my girl and that's her car. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, that's weird. And I was like, you let your girl drive? And he's like, oh yeah, I'm not really allowed to drive. I was like, oh, okay. I was like, that's cool. And he's not really getting specific about anything. I'm like, all right, I'm asking him, like, do you stay around here? Where do you stay? And he's telling me that he stays over at this one spot. And when my partner was talking to her, he's like, no, she lives with me. And I'm like, well, where does she live? And it was nowhere near where this guy said he was staying at. Long story short, nothing sat well with us. And he gave us a name, and I didn't have a right to his name. So whatever name he gave us, but we couldn't find him. But we'd been talking probably 15 minutes. I was like, we gotta go. We don't have anything. We can't hold these guys here. We know they're not here burglarizing. We got to go. So we cut them loose. And then we go back to the office and we start looking into this guy because all of his, he's the one that was giving us the weird vibes. And we go back, and then about 45 minutes later, one of my guys finds who he is. Shout out to Santos. He's the one that found this person's information. And it was one of those times where all of us that were involved, everybody's spidey sense was going off. We just couldn't pinpoint what it was. And I wasn't going to child predator guy. That's not what was going on in my mind. Something wasn't right. I just couldn't figure it out. Well, anyway, once Santos found this guy's name, all of the child, sex predator stuff lit up like a Christmas tree on the hit. And we're like, oh shit. And that's when, the other co-detective, Cole Brock, I'll give him a shout out too. He's like, oh no, like, he was grooming the homeless shelter. And he started putting it together. I was like, oh my God, you're right. And now the pit of our stomach, because we just let this guy go with her back to her house where these 3 children were. They had a 4-year-old and 2 7-year-olds. They were twins.
Oh yeah.
The 4-year-old was nonverbal. So, and he'd been with them for about a year. So we get over it. He had a warrant and he hadn't registered where he was living, all of these things. So we get over there, find him immediately and put him in cuffs and whatnot. And then we get Kaku involved, and then they tell us the news that we didn't want to hear. The reason that kid was nonverbal, just from repeated abuse. I won't get too graphic on here, but all the worst things that you can imagine. All the worst things that you can imagine. So that's the only case. And like I said, normally that wouldn't be my lane. We even called the child crime unit and let them know. And they're like, you got to get over there. They were like, we're getting there, but you got to get over there. And we're like, yep, we're on it. So we went over there. So big shout out to all of my team. I want to give Santos, Colbrock, I think Erica Clackler was involved with that one. I know I'm missing Yancey. So a bunch of great guys all did the right thing that day and got a very, very sick person off the streets that a year of just abuse. It just, go figure. The one case I get involved in, and it's like the things your nightmares are made out of as a dad.
Absolutely. No, that's good work from y'all, though. I mean, that's good for y'all to dig into it further instead of just, you could have just cleared it and be like, well, that's not the burglar we're looking for, and this kid still to date could still be with that same person. So good job y'all to get that kid taken care of.
Yeah, it can happen. You're right. That is a problem in policing. We get so focused on this is my job when really it's all our job. All of it is our job, but I wouldn't blame an officer. I wouldn't blame a property crimes team that went and checked it out and then was like, oh, this ain't our guys. Like, even if you're getting that feeling, I don't expect you to always have to follow through because it didn't feel right. Because how many times did it not feel right and you were wrong? You didn't find anything.
Yep.
Because we're wrong. We're not fucking Superman. So, yeah. But yeah, dude. How about for you? Like, what's some of the cases that you can talk about that, like you said, I want to kind of make people feel uncomfortable tonight. I need them to understand what's out there.
And like I said, great job. I mean, y'all went above and beyond on that. I would hope that y'all got some kind of department recognition for that.
I don't remember. I actually think we did.
Yeah, I mean, because whether or not you do it for the department recognition, that's something that departments should understand. That's above and beyond, right?
Yeah.
While we want our officers and our detectives to do exactly what y'all did, the fact of the matter is they don't all do that. But it is what it is. Some of the things that I've dealt with that I can talk about, some of the stuff that has gone through the court and, people have been sentenced to whatever they've done, but really just talking to people, we'll get these cyber tips and you got to watch the material. You got to figure out what's going on with the kids in the video, and you see kids being violently sexually abused and all these things, and the way that people talk about it. There was just one guy that we talked to, and this wasn't super long ago, but we talked to him. We went to his house, woke him up, very early in the morning to let him know, hey, we know what you've been doing. We're here to take everything that you've got that you could store child pornography on. And some of these people, they will seem like a canary when you give them the opportunity. And so he goes on to talk about all the things that he's done. And, we end up we find a pair of underwear in this guy's sock drawer. And it's little girl underwear. It's like a size 4, whatever. It's for a little girl. And there's no little girls that live in this house. It's him and his wife, and I believe they have like almost an adult son. And so I asked him, like, hey, what about this underwear in your sock drawer? Like, why do you have that? And he's been honest about everything so far, so why would he not be honest about this? And sure enough, he was. He said, well, I just went to the store and I bought it. I say, hey, what business do you have with a little girl's underwear? Because to me, it almost seems like a trophy that you took from one of your victims.
Yeah.
And he's like, no. He says, it's not a trophy. It's just, he has a sexual desire to have sex with little girls. And so he ended up, he bought that underwear so he could masturbate in it. And there was DNA inside that underwear where he's just been using it.
Gross.
And it's stuff like that. I'm like,
how do you check? Do you smell it?
No. The old touch test. You're like, oh gosh, yeah, there's something on this.
Right.
It's like,
it's stiff. It's stiff. It doesn't flex.
Yeah, you're like, holy crap, what was this made of?
It's like cardboard.
Yeah, you're like just holding it straight out.
Yeah.
Gross. Yeah. But stuff like that, it's like, that is not normal. By any means, that's not normal for this guy to go to Target and go buy these little girls' underwear when he has no little girl, and then to explicitly just use it basically as a cum rag, right?
Yeah.
And it's the whole thought of that he took this off of a little girl. So yeah, it's, it's stuff like that. And, you can kind of go on and on and on about it. But um, going back to like you talking about you discuss things with your wife. So back on patrol, and this is one of the things I'm like, this is why I don't tell my wife about a lot of my cases. If she asks, I'll give her some details about stuff, right? But um, she's she takes care of kids. She's a pediatric nurse. She does all these things, so she's got a heart for kids as well. And
You're
I
married
don't
to a
want
nurse too.
to. Yeah,
So am I.
is that not the most typical thing cops and
It
nurses?
is.
It's crazy. But back on patrol, I had this little boy. He had drowned, and I remember hoping that the fire department was there first. 'Cause I'm like, I don't want to
Yeah.
have to do CPR on a 2-year-old little boy. But I get there, and sure enough, fire department wasn't there. We've got a great fire department, but they were, I guess, on a different call, whatever. And I remember getting there, and it was just a hectic, very chaotic, hectic scene. Um, and this little boy, he's already out of the pool, and the parents, they're freaking out. But he's purple, his lips are real blue, and I remember just doing CPR on this kid and trying to get him to breathe. And his body's trying to breathe like agonal breathing, but I don't think that I was even close to getting him back. But the parents
Yeah.
are jerking on me, pulling on me to save their little boy. All these things.
You can't stop.
And that's the thing. I'm like, you've
Yeah.
got to back up. Like, I'm trying to help him.
Yeah.
But that was one of the first ones that really, really stuck with me, because I'm like, man, how chaotic of a scene it was. I also had a 2-year-old at the time. And so, you relate these things. You're like, man, this is like my kid. And so that kind of going back to like taking stuff home with me, that translated over to me not ever letting my kid get into water without me around. To the point that I would yell at people if they did something around my kid while they're in the water. Um, because that's my priority, is like, I can't let my kid turn out like this other kid,
Yeah.
and it's not the fault of the parents, accidents happen.
Yep.
But I remember I would tell my wife about it. I talked about it for the longest time. She was one of them that encouraged me to go to counseling. She was like, you've got to go see somebody. Like, you talk about it every day. I remember the day, August 7th, 2021. I'll never forget it. That's whenever it happened. But after talking to her about that, and then I was like, man, I almost feel like I'm depressing her by detailing everything from what I had to do.
Yeah.
And this is something, she's done CPR on kids and stuff, and she understands. She's like, but in her CPR cases, it's a controlled environment. Mine, I've got the parents yanking on me. I've got all this stuff going on. But after that, I was like, I don't really want to tell her a whole lot whenever it comes to kids, because we've got young kids ourselves. She deals with kids all the time at work.
Yep.
And it's not something that I feel like you will ever get used to as a detective who works these kind of cases and stuff. But I just don't want her to ever have her view of trying to protect kids ever skewed. Like, man, this is such a dark world that we have to work in. But like, I don't want to relay that to her. Because I always want her to just be, giddy and happy to help kids. So,
right.
And I think that's something that you don't, you can, whenever you go work a dead body call, right? Like, oh man, this person died from an overdose, whatever. You just step all around the body. You're trying to take care of the scene process, make sure something nefarious hadn't happened. But with kid cases, it's never like that. It's not just a run of the mill. Like, I don't feel like you ever get desensitized to dead kids, right? Or sexually abused kids or anything like that. It's every time you get it hits you, and you're like, oh man, I've got to do something for these kids. And most recently, speaking with a colleague, kind of doing the same thing, he said what he does is whenever he would have a child victim, he would have a picture of that child victim, and every day he would come into work, he would put that picture up, and it would remind him that's his why, and that's what his purpose is to get justice for that kid. So I'm like, oh, I like that idea. Keeps you focused, keeps you optimistic that you're doing a good thing, while also kind of keeping you grounded so you don't lose your cool on some of these things.
Yeah, absolutely. You said something that kind of, I don't know if enough people know this about policing, and firefighters and EMS.
Yeah.
When it's a kid, we don't pronounce on the scene ever. We work until we get to the hospital, and the hospital works until the doctor says it's done.
Yep.
And that's kids in general. I should preface, like, when it's something fresh like that. Now, if it's like a decomposing body, obviously we're not working on a kid for stuff like that. But when drowning, whatever it is, oh God, drownings are bad too. Because just like you said, the body continues to try to just fight, even though that they're done. It's but it's not my job to say that it's done. And I think that's kind of how everybody I know, anyways. It's not my job. My job's to work until as limited of medical training as us cops get. We work until we can't work anymore when it comes to
do
kids.
everything you can until EMS takes the kid or whoever, until EMS takes a kid to a medical or a children's hospital or wherever, fly them out to wherever they got to go. It's our job to just try and get that pulse back.
Yep, absolutely. It's not that we don't work harder on other people, guys. That's not what I'm saying. Don't get on here and be, oh, cops, stop working on other people then. I'll be that guy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Thanks, Harrison. Harrison said he's got to go. Appreciate Harrison dropping the memberships tonight. I think he dropped 10 memberships. I don't know if I got a chance to shout out. I didn't want to cut off our guest. But
sorry,
guys,
I get long-winded sometimes when talking.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine. Absolutely. I just anytime people decide to throw their hard-earned money towards the channel, I like to give them some props and thank you very much. It all goes right back into the show so we can continue to make what I consider great episodes. This is going to be a really great one.
I'm thankful to be here for this. And something that I think I've even talked to you about it in the past is I think it would be beneficial, and I would like to at some point be able to do this thing, go around to different prisons and talk to some of these convicted sex offenders about, and it's not so much about wanting to give them a voice, but use it as awareness and see if some of these people that have nothing to lose will tell us why they did what they did and what they looked for, and try and turn that into prevention for parents. Right.
Yeah.
And it's, I would never want it to get spun like, well, I'm giving this person an opportunity to claim fame or something. It's not that. I would want to do it just to kind of go inside the mind of a predator. You know what I mean?
Right.
And try
like serial killers. We do the same thing with them. We profile them. Why would we not do that with child predators to try to help stop future victims?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I think that's saying it's smart. Know thy enemy in a way. That's how I look at it. And people are going to think I'm weird for saying this, but there are truly some predators that know they're sick in the head. They acknowledge it, and they do try to figure out ways to make it right with themselves. If by them trying to make it right with themselves is to help us out in catching future people, I'll take it, because my ego is not involved in this. I want to catch other people like this guy. So,
absolutely.
Which that goes into another question. I've never ran across a female predator.
Yeah.
I'm sure they exist.
They do.
I've never seen or heard of one.
Yeah, I think there's been studies out there. It's like 85% of these kid victims that were studied, 85% of their abusers were male. And I've only actually worked, I can only think of one that really stands out that was a female. There's an elder, or I say elderly, she's not elderly, but she's close to 70, over 65. So by Texas law, she's
she's elderly. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that one, I mean, she was gross, very, very nasty, very, very nasty person. And it's like, what in the world, why don't you talk about kids this way? But she was another one that people, never had any idea she would do something like that. She babysat for people. So, yeah.
That's crazy. Nasty. Lacey dropped a comment and said, will Seth be adding any long form content on his YouTube channel?
Hey, so I actually thought about that earlier today. I'm like, what could I do for long form content? Because, most of my videos I upload on TikTok and Instagram.
Short form stuff. I get it.
Yeah. And, I usually keep it about a minute or less. Mm-hmm. And so I've kind of tried to think, like, what kind of long form content could I do that people will really want to, engage with? So I'll definitely say it's not ruled out. I just got to do a little more.
I can help get you started, brother.
Oh yeah, I know.
For
I'll
sure.
send you a text after this.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Because I started what I like to call my in-between. It's not short form, it's not long form, it's kind of that mid length.
Yeah.
I call it the gray area. So
Yeah.
where I start talking about kind of hot topic things that like the last one I talked about was there needs to be a police registry. So if you get in the hiring process fired, whatever it is, whatever your jacket is in law enforcement, whether it was you applied and you got ruled out, and an agency's like, no, we're ruling them out because of this, like that needs to go into one national registry. If you get fired, that whole investigation needs to be put in there, and there needs to be a name signed off to it. And investigations need to be complete. It's another part that I think needs to happen. So if you get in trouble and they're like, well, we'll let you resign in lieu of finishing this investigation. No, fuck that. You need to finish that investigation, whether they resign or not. And that findings needs to go to that registry. So then if you become that Ronin cop that jumps department to department, doesn't matter where you go in this country, that's going to follow you.
Yep.
And then at the same time, there needs to be, because there's departments that will try to railroad you and get you fired for some bullshit.
Yeah.
And any good investigator is going to be able to see through a bullshit case. So that's another thing that it would help protect the good cops, and it would, stop these shithead cops like the Sonia Massey case, where that dude went to 6 different departments in 4 years and then ends up shooting that lady in the kitchen for the boiling water. That should have never fucking happened, bro. Shouldn't even have been in the house. They should have done left. They'd already checked the perimeter. There's no intruders there. You could tell she was batshit crazy. Like all the signs were there, and then I talk about that case quite a bit because it pissed me off so much. But now that shithead's doing 20 years in prison. So
yeah, I mean, we would hold everybody else accountable for it. Just because somebody wears a badge and carries a gun doesn't give them the right to just take somebody's life whenever it can be avoided.
Right. Oh yeah, especially when that was so avoidable. But the red flags were there.
Yeah, and I've never worked with somebody that I even questioned. And I'm thankful for that. I've never worked with anybody that I've questioned their morality or kind of where their I don't know standards were. I never questioned if somebody would do something ridiculous, and if I had, I would address that. But I'm very thankful that I've never had to work in a department where that's a problem, because, like I said, it sheds a bad light on law enforcement in general, but specifically your department. Like, man, how can you be proud to work here because somebody ruined the name for you?
Yeah. I've unfortunately I have. I've had to arrest 4 cops. Some for my own, some not.
The worst I've arrested cops from other places, just none in my own department. So
one shithead drunk drove. He was a detective. Drunk drove. T-boned a car, broke a 14-year-old girl's leg in the back seat, fled on foot, got picked up by a friend on the department. Then they drove a couple blocks away from the house, but we were already, the idiot left. I found his business cards all over in his vehicle. So I knew whose vehicle it was. So we automatically sent units and the helicopter over towards his house, figuring that's where he was going to go. And we found him waiting in a car. We because you got the red hot thermal. So we saw a car sitting with the engine on like a couple blocks away. And he was just trying to wait it out for the cops to go away. And then pulled up and we got him that way. So he got prison, I think. I know for a fact him and one other person, that lieutenant and one other person got fired from that department as well because of all their involvement. Yeah.
It's not that hard to be a good person.
Yeah. And they tried to play he was being a good friend when he said, "Hey, I need you to come pick me up. Just don't ask any questions." That's what he told them.
Yeah.
So they did. But you got to know that there's something up. Like,
if somebody calls me and says that, I'll be like, I don't know if I want to do this.
Yeah, unless you're my child, like I'm not. Sorry, I'll do anything for my child. But no, there's no way. And so but that was a shitty one. Alcohol is usually involved when that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Well, let me see if I got any other questions going on in the thing. Freeman said, okay, Seth, I feel like we're all with you. Thank you for your hard work.
I appreciate that very much.
Let me see. You're great area post on use of force. What? Perfect last week, whatever it was. You're great. Oh, I think what he's trying to say is your gray area post on use of force was perfect last week, or whatever it was. Yeah, that's what we're trying to say there. John, I don't want to butcher his last name. John said, I remember a case study on 200 enforcement officers, judges, and even a sheriff being arrested. Rough time. Oh. Yeah, I will. It seems like a lot more cops are getting held accountable lately.
Yeah,
and I don't know if that's. Yeah, I don't know if it's because of social media, cameras everywhere. I don't know what it is.
I think that's a lot of it. I think a lot of it is cameras everywhere.
I do too.
And whether that's the officer's body camera or just, citizens with phones, recording the conduct. I don't know, but I do feel like it has been more often. There was something I was wanting to talk about. I made a video on it earlier today.
Okay.
Sure, I'm not saying her name. I don't want to screw her name up. It's either Javiah Harris out of South Carolina. She's a 4-year-old little girl.
Okay.
She was reported missing June 30th. Parents had said that she was outside playing, and from there she just went missing. So I'm not exactly sure what the whole details were for the last couple days or the next few days following that. But yesterday it actually came out that they believe that she had been dead for over a month by the time she was reported missing. And it was due to child abuse by the parents. So they were both arrested for child abuse leading to homicide. So that's just something like I'm a big fan of bringing kids' names out who have been taken from the world by the hands of people who are supposed to take care of them. But that's, it's a sad thing to hear, but a 4-year-old little girl that was, just being a kiddo and, eventually was abused or beaten to death. And then to the point the parents, I don't believe her body's been recovered so far, but they were able to put things together to say that the parents have been the abusers and they ultimately killed her. So they're both held without bond right now.
Yeah. Ryan asked, any frustrations with DAs with your cases?
Man.
Can't really picture that in the area you're at. They're pretty known for their justice.
They are. Yeah. I honestly, it goes back to what I said earlier. I've got great relationships. If there's anything like that I have questions about, we communicate very well. I have not had a case get thrown out or dropped that I've sent over to the DA's office. Everything that just came over, I usually get pretty good feedback on. Like, hey, great work. I've got one coming up in September that it'll be a big one just because it involves a lot of things that are hot topics right now, abortion and all kinds of different stuff. So that one that's a big case, but I don't have any complaints, honestly, and that's not just because I don't want to say anything bad about them. I've just got nothing to complain about. They do great work.
Nice. Yeah, that's I will say when I finally, because when you first become a detective, at least for me, I was like in over my head. I'm like, oh my God, there's so many new things to learn, how to file the cases, how to communicate properly back and forth with the intake DA versus the actual DA that's going to prosecute the case. I didn't realize there was a difference there. So I'm like, oh, okay, there's a guy. Okay, now it kind of makes sense because it's the same thing in the detective's office where I was at. It was like, you have the guy that assigns the cases. That's another detective, but his job is to assign cases, which is an art in itself. And so it's the same thing for the DA. For those that don't know, let me educate you. Like all these cases are coming in from around the city or county, however it is where you're at. And now the intake DA has to make sure there's probable cause for the arrest and all of this stuff. So he's looking at the integrity of the case. If you don't have it, he's going to let you know, like, no, we're not taking this case because you don't have what you need to push this forward. Where us as a detective, and so for detectives out there listening, new ones, like, don't be afraid to ask the intake prosecutor, like call them up and talk to them. Don't email them. Have a conversation with these people. Make them get to know you. Build the rapport, but ask them like, hey, what did I do wrong here? How do I fix this? Like, where did I mess up? Because to me, it looks like I have everything I need. I don't think you're going to push a case forward if you didn't think you had it. So then they're going to be like, well, this is how we look at this in court now. Like you're at a different level. You're not at the officer level anymore. And then take what you've learned as a detective and go pass that on at roll calls for patrol, because there's so much you didn't know in patrol at the detective level. And that's on that's for guys like us. That's our job. Like we had to push that stuff down. Now me as a sergeant, like where I'm at, I don't have to worry about that as much, but I still have to tell my officers, because I work in a real-time crime center. I don't know if you guys have one of those where you're at, but I've got to tell my guys about how cases are built in their area, which is a lot different than being out in patrol and stuff like that. So that's how we improve those that will be there after we're gone. So I think that's our job. It's kind of one of the reasons why I do this platform, is I'm not just trying to help citizens have a better understanding, have them give us better perspective, because if we're going to be honest, Seth, we're in our own fishbowl. It's hard to get outside of our fishbowl. So you got to listen to the guys like that are in the chat tonight, Freeman and Mr. Billfold and Luna and all these guys. Like they give great perspective because they're not in our fishbowl. They're giving us stuff that we can't think about. So that's why I like doing what I do with this, and it's helping close a lot of gaps that I see in law enforcement, gaps that I see with citizens, because there's a lot of stuff citizens, like I guarantee a quarter of the chat tonight did not know that about a DA, and that there's an intake DA versus the one that actually prosecutes the case. And sometimes there's a disconnect between those two, because the intake DA sees it and is like, okay, well, that was Detective Levine. His cases are always solid, and he just pushes it forward. And then it turns out I messed up. And then I got the prosecuting attorney calling me like, what the fuck is this garbage? And I'm like, oh, my bad. My bad, bro. I have it. I just forgot to send it. There you go. So, yeah. But for you, how long you think you're going to do this for the ICAC stuff?
As long as they'll let me. That's the thing. So, there's people in our area that have built really good names for themselves. And, like when you think of ICAC, you think of these certain people. That's what I want. I want to be known for, not knowing all there is about it, but like how to steer people in the right direction, how to investigate some of these cases. So as long as they let me do it, I want to keep doing the ICAC and just the physical and sexual abuse investigations as well. But I see no quit anytime soon.
Excellent. Okay, well, good. I will help you definitely get that path. When we get off here, I can tell you about all the ways that I'm networked with a lot of big names that would probably love to have you involved anyway. And Stephen Hill wrote, where can we follow Seth at?
So, unfortunately, I was having a hard time with my links setting up here. But so I would say TikTok is where I started. And it's, I think my actual handle on there is at healthy_cop. But you can just find me by the Texas Detective. And then on Instagram, the Texas Detective Official, because the Texas Detective apparently by itself was already taken.
Yeah.
So it's not like, dang.
Same thing happened to me with 2Cops1Donut.
Yeah.
So I had the little underscore. I'm like, you son of a bitch. Yeah. Okay. And then YouTube channel.
So it says I have a YouTube channel. I may have created one. I just didn't really know it. But if I have it, I'm definitely going to start adding stuff to it. I just got to figure out exactly what I want to put on there.
Okay. There we go. Well, when you start doing your longer form content stuff, we can talk about that as well.
There was a question on here a while ago that I'd seen. I think somebody had asked if I had ever presented, or if I present to grand jury, and if I'd ever had one no build. The answer to that, yes, I routinely present to grand jury, specifically whenever it's an in-depth either child pornography case or an in-depth sex abuse or physical abuse of a kiddo. And I've only had one that was actually no build, and that was one that By law, it was physical abuse. But the grand jury, they just weren't a fan of how it was done, because it was kind of a nasty custody dispute thing started out, but then it ended up getting to where this kid was spanked hard enough on his bottom that his whole butt was bruised. And I personally thought that was a little excessive given the kid's age. He was under the age of 5. And I was like, I don't think that's reasonable to discipline a kid like that. But grand jury, I guess, thought differently. But ultimately, the DA was pushing the same thing as I was.
I say people need to understand in Texas, the law on discipline your kid is a lot more relaxed than in most states.
Yep.
Short of serious bodily injury, I mean, you can discipline your child here.
Yeah.
And
that's the only one I've had no build. So
I gotcha. Yeah, I'm pretty much batting 1,000. I'm pretty awesome. So
hey. I'll step it up, Knox. I'll step it up.
Hey, you tried, man. It's okay.
Yeah, that's all that matters.
Everybody's got to have a hero. Everybody's got to have a hero. That's what I tell people.
Yeah, I'm looking around right
now. Okay. Well, guys, we're creeping up on 2 hours. I told him I'd try to keep this at 2 hours. Seth, is there anything that we haven't gotten across tonight? I've gone through all the questions that have been sent in. But is there anything that we haven't hit on with all of this that you just want to get out there and that people need to know about?
I feel like we've hit on pretty much everything that I can think of off the top of my head. The only thing is that I just want people to understand how important it is to be involved in your kid's life. And I've done the same thing. I've given my kids an iPad and said, hey, just watch YouTube or play not video games, like whatever app that I've installed on that iPad. I need time to do whatever around the house. But I think if you involve your kids more in what you're doing, you just stay more connected with them. But if you are going to give your kid a device, have parental controls on it. I don't care if they are 16, 17 years old. You're not invading their privacy. You're doing your job as a parent. My honest belief is whenever it comes to stuff like that and my kids' safety and keeping them safe from somebody who's wanting to do bad to them, privacy is not a factor. The phone is a privilege. And I have the right to know what's going on there. So if you're not using parental controls, do it. In the long run, I think your kids will thank you. I've had kids that are now adults reach out to me on social media and tell me that they wish that their parents would have used Bark or just a parental control to prevent them from being victimized like they were. So I honestly think involvement in your kid's life, knowing who they're talking to, and if somebody's doing something to them, it can set your kids up for success. Because there are studies out there that show that kids who have been sexually abused are more prone to fall to be addicted to narcotics and go down a path of destruction, really. So it all comes down to parenting, and I don't think anybody intentionally is a bad parent. I say everybody. There are some people. I just told you all about the little girl in South Carolina. Her parents were intentionally horrible parents, but the majority of parents, I think, are good, and they want to do good things. They just don't know how, or they feel like they don't have the time because it's become so normal to sit at the dinner table and your kid be distracted by their phone instead of conversation with the family. But you can get a lot by how your kid responds to your questions of how was your day, and if they just say good, that's not an acceptable answer. I want to know what made it a good day, or if they say it was bad, I'm not just going to say, okay, everybody can have a bad day. I want to know what made it bad. So,
and don't demean them because what they consider bad isn't really that bad in your book. To them, it is bad. So let them explain. It's something that my wife's always been really good at with our kids. Is they get in the car to go home from school, and the first thing, how was your day? Oh, it was good. Okay, what was good? Well, I had this math test and I did really good on it and got that. Okay, what was the down part of the day? Like, what was your worst part of the day? No, all day was pretty good, Dad or Mom. Okay, cool. You didn't have any downtimes? No. Okay. And if they say yes, then we can kind of expand upon it. Okay, what was the downtime? Well, Reagan was talking trash about me and said that that I don't really have a Doberman. I do have a Doberman, you know, whatever little thing.
Yeah,
Right,
it's something small to us, but to them, it ruined their day.
Like, okay,
But
how'd you handle it? Well, you start helping them learn how to deal with, resolution of things. So
yeah, and I think something that I tell my kids all the time is, I love you. Right, that goes a long way, especially if they've had a bad day. But I've had cases where 13, 14-year-olds have killed themselves, and they leave a note saying that they didn't feel like anybody loved them, and they were an outsider in a group of outsiders, and all these different things. And it's like, you never know what your kid's actually going through unless you are there to talk to them. Because if you don't talk to them, you just get in the routine of having no involvement or communication with them, then things happen like that, and you just don't really know.
Yeah. We got some good comments here before you take off. Seth, honestly, I feel like we're so appreciative of your hard work, and we all thank you for defending the most vulnerable among us.
Appreciate
David Edmondson said, I hope Seth has a great support group for all he has seen. God bless you and continued success catching these pervs.
Appreciate that, David.
There was another good one I saw. Damn, I lost it. Where'd it go? So the hard part about not having my people here with me tonight.
You've got a good. Sorry, go ahead.
He said, Ryan said, thank you, Seth, for all you do. I'm sorry you've had to see the things you've seen to get these guys, but I'm glad there's people like you doing the work.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. You've got a good group of people commenting on here and tuning in for. I mean, people could easily hop on here and just be absolutely disrespectful, and but there's a lot of support here, and you've built a good community, and that's for sure.
Yeah,
and that's the big thing about it, is being in law enforcement, no matter what aspect of law enforcement you're in. Having a social media, I know some people are like, oh, cops shouldn't have social media, but this is where I think it's beneficial. When we're here for education, like you're never going to see me. I don't dance. All right. I'm never going to dance. I'm not going to sing. I'm not going to do all these things. But if I got to act a little silly to get some attention and then talk about a serious thing, I'll do that.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I said it from, probably an hour ago, that my whole point of having social media was to educate people on how often kids are being victimized. But having a good community that supports you, I mean, that encourages you to keep on going.
Yep.
But like he had said, for all the things that I've seen, at the end of the day, I personally believe God has equipped me with the ability to process some of the information and keep moving forward with it. Because I know it's not for everybody. I work with a lot of cops who are like, I can't do that. I could not do that. Personally, I just couldn't handle that. And it's nothing on them. Them knowing their limitations is more important than them trying to swallow their ego and doing it, and then doing a bad job or destroying themselves in the process of trying to do a good case. So,
before you go, I want people to understand what we're talking about when we talk about your videos in particular, because you have a very specific style, and I love it. So this is his Instagram page. We got to get them numbers up there because your TikTok's destroying that. You and I are the opposite. I cannot grow TikTok, dude. I just don't know. I don't know.
Man, I'll tell you, TikTok's been, I feel like, growing kind of slower here. Like, I'm almost at 250,000 now. 249.2, I think, is what it was earlier.
That's crazy. Yeah, I've been at 25,000 for like 3 years. So it just doesn't move. It is what it is. But let's try the first video here. Oh, we gotta unmute it.
Whenever it comes to kids being taken from this world by the hands of another, I believe it's important for that little kid to have a voice and to have their story told. With that being said, let's talk about Javea Harris out of South Carolina. Just on June 30th, she was reported missing after her parents said that she went missing from just playing outside her house. Fast forward to July 4th, both parents have been arrested. Mom and dad have been arrested for her homicide. This is a 4-year-old little girl who had the whole world ahead of her, and the people who are supposed to take care of her, once again, we see it over and over. The people who are supposed to take care of them don't do it. Unfortunately, this little girl, she never gets to explore the world and see what she could have been or what God's greatest creation could have turned out to be. But thankfully, the parents are being held accountable, and hopefully that the extended family are able to grieve through this process, and I'm sure they would appreciate y'all's prayers.
All right, let's look at, I want to find one of your, where you walk in.
Yeah. You might have to scroll back a little bit. Here recently, I feel like
You changed it up a little?
Well, not intentionally. Like I just feel like my timing has been kind of thrown off a little bit, but yeah, I need to get back to it because a lot of people love that. Oh, hey.
Yeah, it cracks me up. Let me try this one. Let's see what happens.
So, as a detective who investigates crimes against children.
No, that's not it. Oh, here we go. You're not in the frame. That's not it either.
I have some, or like I ride in on a scooter and stuff.
Here you go. This is one.
Oh, hey. So one of the questions I get asked the most is, how did I get into the position to investigate the case?
I just wanted you guys to see. He's got like 100 videos where he starts, he just comes into frame. Oh, hey. And he's so Eeyore about it, just so downtrodden. And then it turns out he's saying some of the most critical information ever. I love it. Everybody's got to have their own style, man. And you have got it nailed. Good old Texas boy for sure. You definitely, you got the accent too. I love it. I love everything about it, dude. You're doing great. You're doing, I don't know if you guys are believers in God, whatever it is you believe in, but I think he's out there doing the Lord's work, whoever the Lord is to you. So I want you to keep doing what you're doing, brother. I really appreciate you deciding to jump on. It's always risky. You never know how a person's going to be unless you really do your research on them and whatnot. And you took a risk, like everybody does when they try to do one of these things. I think you nailed it. I think our people love you. I think you just got a whole bunch of new fans.
I hope so.
Yeah, we're gonna put this audio out and we're gonna put the video out as well. So see that. Look forward to this episode, guys, on Apple, Spotify, YouTube. They'll all be available for you guys to check it out. And there's a whole bunch of other platforms for the audio version if you like that stuff. But I'll clip this up too, Seth, and then I'll tag you in everything that we do. And see what happens. But yeah, make sure you guys follow, subscribe, and then everybody that's in the audience tonight, thank you for participating. This was a good, simple episode. I like this. We didn't complicate it with a bunch of people on the night, and not that they were available. Everybody's busy tonight, so I found out I was doing the episode by myself, and I was like, sweet, it's going to go by smooth, fast, and not be complicated. So you got anything to close us out, brother?
No, sir. Like I said, I appreciate you for letting me come on here and spread the word. Anytime I can get the opportunity to talk about some of these things, I do it.
Awesome. And I think our audience would love to have you just come on and be a part of some of the other stuff we do. We don't have to keep it about children stuff every night. We just come on and, use your experience as a cop and join in the chats. So
absolutely. Yeah. I'm open for it. I'm open for it anytime.
Hell yeah. All right, guys, everybody out there, thank you and have a good night. Take it easy.